All right, everyone. Hello and welcome back. It is a Wednesday evening. Tonight we're gonna talk a lot about. Well, we got a lot of big news that came out today. A lot of volatility today. Huge news. FOMC meeting came out. Nvidia earnings came out. We also had, a lot of developments on the Epstein files, as well as I should write these down before I start. The Congressional stock trading ban meeting that was held today as well. So huge day, a lot to tackle tonight. So we will be getting into all of that. Yesterday, no stream. I think I said the day before. I don't know. I kind of ended on a shaky note. I was like, "Don't worry, guys. I'll stream tomorrow." And then it just didn't stream tomorrow. No, I didn't die. I'm alive. Okay. But yeah, on Tuesdays because I stream at 9, I'm doing something at that time, so I wasn't able to do my stream yesterday. But today we're back. We're going to cover everything that happened throughout yesterday and today. So it's going to be big. So, spooky stuff that happened on Bitcoin. We had a drop down to a new low, 88,502. By the way, yes, was also a bit late right now because just adjusting, the mic, we figured something out over here to put it on a little stand. So finally I'm hands free. I'm waving my arms around and you guys just can't see me yet. I have to figure out getting maybe a webcam. Maybe I'll do that for 1K. I know I said I'd stop begging, but I'm still going to keep begging till we hit 500. Then I'll stop begging for subscribers. Likes I don't care too much about, but I appreciate them nonetheless. And I don't know, if you guys subscribe too much and I see the number approach 1K, I'll start promoting that as well. I'm, like I said, plans for the channel, still thinking about multi-platform streaming other places. I still gotta figure that out. I do have plenty of time. I'm just, I don't know, gotta get through with it. But that's, plans for the future. So, we'll leave that to the side for now. Let's go ahead and get started. Bitcoin's current price is 92,300. Finally coming back up a little bit. Webcam at 500, blowing chunks. Maybe, I don't know. I wanted to start monetizing the channel, and to get that you do need 1K. But I mean, at 500 I could enable super chats, which that's a good milestone. But I also do need watch time hours. So if somebody could watch 4,000 hours worth of my content, something like that, I would be eligible. I think I already met that requirement before, based on the old videos that I was posting, basically just audiobooks, reading stuff, either in Spanish or in English. That was one video blew up. It got 11,000 views, which obviously it was an hour and 30 minutes worth of an audiobook. And the dude, this darn old man, what is his name? Les Giblin, screw you. Copyright striked, whatever, struck that channel, not the channel, my channel, and that video got taken down. So I lost the 11,000 views, and along with it, the watch hours that came with it. So no other video has performed that well on my channel. The next one is I think, I don't even know, I'm sorry. It's a 500 views, I think. It's probably on the Trump one. I could check right now. Yeah, 880 views on Trump book, 700 on some other ones, 700. Yeah, so stuff like that. I mean, going from 11,000 views down to my next popular video being only 800 views. I know, only 800. But yeah, I'm no longer eligible for it. So still gotta build my way up to it. I guess I could check right now how much. What do I check? YouTube Studio. I'm checking on another tab. Earn. Here it is. So I need 500 subscribers and 3,000 valid public watch hours. And currently I have 1,123 in the last year. So this all has to be done within 1 year. Yeah, it's going to be rough. So we're probably not going to see super chats for a while, which is fine. Whatever. I'm not too concerned about it. I'm more concerned about the ad revenue. That I need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. So there you go. Yep, no longer eligible, but it's fine. I guess that's what I deserve. Or maybe I could, I don't even know if I would re-upload it, but change the title. That's what I think I'm gonna do here. I know I'm exposing my plans right now, but yeah, go back to reading, but just don't specify from where it is from or what it's about. Just give like a very generalized title and things like that and just go through with it. I'm sure it'll bypass the copyright detection systems, I hope. I don't know. I have to give it a try. So that's a plan for the future. But yeah. Okay, so I'm hoping now bottom is in, but I keep saying that it seems like every day it just doesn't stop. And this time, yeah, we are getting more and more closer to my liquidation price. But the fundamentals are just too strong. It doesn't make sense for us to be dropping. The 4-year cycle being over, this cycle feels different. I don't know. Dead cat bounce. It's looking like 97, 98,000. How high we could reach before we truly start like reversing back down. Because, you know, I always pay attention to the super trend. Things rise. You could expect a bounce close to this area for a couple of reasons. We would be overbought. We would approach a resistance. And even if this does happen, all we would have to do is readjust the downtrend like that, and we would still be in a downtrend, a perpetual downtrend, and continue lower. If we approach this area, if we do become overbought, I may, hard may, just close out my positions at a loss. I don't know if I will do that though. I might chicken out at last second, but it's going to take some time to figure out for sure what's going to happen. So for now, I'm not going to touch anything, I'm not going to put any limit orders, nothing around for the time being until we see how things further develop. Things could just continue dropping lower from here. But I would expect at least a dead cat bounce. Everybody's expecting it. These little bounces that we have been getting, you could quote unquote call them bounces, like 2 or 3 green candles at a time. It seems like they're not enough. So something more has to happen before we can, you know, call it, yeah, sure, we can continue the downtrend. But for now, just gotta wait. So I'm leaving that there. Support level's been working perfect at 88, 89,000. 88,502, like I said, was our lowest point, which luckily we bounced up from there. There's a couple reasons why this volatility happened, and it's not all over yet. There's still more to come, which we will be discussing as well. So, yeah, I don't know. With this liquidation price, I don't know. How much is Solana at? 143. You know what I could do? I have some Solana on another account, on my standard futures one. I could close out of those positions at a heavy loss because I bought around to like 190, 200, 200 plus. So I'd be losing something. I'd be losing about half of the value, I think. But it's enough that I would feel like, yeah, I could just use that money, put it into Bitcoin, at least Bitcoin, right? Just to save the position as much as I can. Because I don't know, how much lower can it really go? People do think like, yeah, we can continue going lower to the low 80s. But I've never seen, I don't think I've seen somebody predict the 70,000 levels for Bitcoin quite yet. So if I can get this liquidation price pushed below 74,000, which is, you know, 74,000, if you have PTSD, you'll understand that that is our low point from April 7, which we've bounced back from there, and we've even managed to continue hitting all-time highs. So nothing is off the table, you know, so to speak. Like, there's no chance that we're going to make another all-time high. I feel like we can. Like, the money is there, liquidity is, I feel like it is enough to push us, if not to our all-time highs, at least close enough. Or even just in general, obviously above 100,000, that should be a no-brainer, right? Yeah, I gotta decide what to do. What would I do? Would I buy? How much would that lower? That's something I'm gonna do on my own time. And then if I just add margin to the position, which means keeping my average entry at 105,000, it seems like that is such a bad price, but back then it seemed like such a good price. How the times change, huh? So, yeah, gonna have to decide that, like I said, later on. Rest of my positions, super in the red. We all share our losses in the Discord, which is just awesome. I think I have to update link on my description. If you guys want to join, the link is in the description for the Discord. We just chat, hang out, talk, and share our losses, like I said. But, I mean, those soon shall become gains. Or maybe not. Maybe we've entered the bear market. Maybe everyone was right. So, yeah. No, I think we're fine, though. Ethereum, scary day for Ethereum as well. Dropping to this support level, 2,800. Around that level. We dropped to a low of 2,868. We have since then recovered to 3,035. I was surely like saying we shouldn't see Ethereum below 3,000, right? Otherwise that'd be terrible. And it did happen. We poked below it a couple times and then ultimately dropped down to approximately this support level. Still in a downtrend, which invalidates at 3,387. Still a long way to go. My average entry is 3,593. Also, back in the day, seemed like a really great entry. Now it looks terrible, doesn't it? Yeah. When things start trending downwards, DCAing like this, it feels like it doesn't work much anymore. I'm liking what I see in Solana, though. I don't like the drop, obviously. We did hit a low point of 128 while I was gone, but we've been trying to bounce back above 140, which is good. Our current price is 142. Your resistance is clear at 150, which seems to be where we're trying to approach next. I like what I'm seeing with Solana. Are we even that bad in terms of liquidation price? I don't know. I think we're fine. Dude, we're fine. Solana's fine. Hyperliquid's also been holding strong, despite all the volatility. We were actually rising to about 41 just yesterday. And I saw this and I was like, why is Hyperliquid rising? For no reason. Literally no reason. I tried looking up the reason. What did that AI thing say? It's probably wrong. Let me go rewind my stream. Come on. Oh, it's not playing. That's why. NFL hype drives token up 4.8% in 24 hours. NFL hype, guys. Confirmed by this 2IQ AI that the NFL is involved with Hyperliquid. I'm pretty sure they're talking about actual hype, not like the Hyperliquid token or the ecosystem. The hype of the NFL. Yeah, that's what made Hyperliquid stay strong and rise. Clearly so intelligent. This is who's going to replace your job, by the way, one day. It's already replacing mine. But yeah, not much change with Hyperliquid. $39.16. Pretty good. Holding strong, like I said. BitTensor managing to bounce at the 300 psychological area. It surges 7% as what? Did that say? I gotta stop paying attention to that AI because it's just so wrong. Oh, here. 7% is zero knowledge proof gains momentum. So we're talking privacy coins. I'm pretty sure BitTensor is not really much of a privacy coin, is it? No, it has to do with AI, with Bitcoin tokenomics. What? Yeah, forget that AI. It's literally spewing brain rot. Makes no sense. But yeah, just today, we dropped to a low of 303.96. We have since bounced up to 327. Resistance for BitTensor. Well, the immediate one is at 340, but next one, the more important one, is 375. You could round that up to. My average entry is 356. I think we're fine. I bought this dip somehow, which is not bad. It dropped my average price pretty good, considering I was buying at around 400. Yeah, it's fine. What else we got? And I'm losing the least amount on BitTensor compared to the rest of my entries. Sui is doing really bad. It dropped to a low of 150, so if I did not add margin to this position, how much money is this? About $4,000 would have been gone. Easily, just like that. But I did add margin, and we pushed our liquidation price to 111, which surely we don't hit that, right? Right? So our current price is 163. I'd say our resistance immediately is at 171. And then where the downtrend invalidates, which should hopefully be soon, should be around 183. You could round that down to. So it looks okay. I mean, going from 163 to 183, 20 cents, we can do that pretty easily with SUI. We just need that something. Something's gotta impulse the market, which we do have enough catalysts for this week that can help the whole market in general start gaining its upward momentum and continue rising again. Or it can just end up dropping everything. Who knows at this point, but I'm still staying optimistic, hoping for the best. And honestly, I feel like things should work out in our favor. I have plenty of faith, not faith, but understanding and good arguments that should, back up why I feel things should continue on the rise, even if that means, going into it in December and maybe even carrying on to 2026. And I hate to say that because this was the month, like many months ago, I was projecting that November would be our top. But, I mean, we're having the complete opposite. I might as well just rename myself to Jim Cramer over here if I'm going to be doing everything on the inverse. But hey, I just came to realize nobody can get everything right. At the end of the day, we're all just guessing. Even the smartest analysts, they're just better guessers, okay? Nobody knows for sure. At the end of the day, this just seems to me like it's a bunch of manipulation and poor narrative-driven market because people are skeptical, people are fearful. We don't know what the economic data is looking like. We don't know about the rate cuts that we could get in December, whether or not that's going to happen. It was projected in the past that we're going to get it, but now, with the FOMC minutes, which we'll be discussing, it doesn't seem very likely. Or maybe it does. It's all up in the air, but we still have a glimmer of hope. First of all, we don't even have all the economic data yet. Some of that should be coming out tomorrow, day after, things like that, which, like I said, we'll be getting into. So just bear with me. But there is hope. There is good reasons, right? I feel like it's not all over yet. I'm staying on the bullish side, and that is part of the reason why I know I said, hey, if we drop below the, what was this level, 97,000, whatever I marked before, 96,000, which is where the weekly super trend invalidated for me. I even held on to it. I'm like, okay, I know we're below it, but we're barely below it. We're at that level specifically. If the weekly candle closes above it, even if it's by a little bit, like the bull run is still on for another week. But no, we closed below it in the weekly chart. I'm talking about this weekly super trend, by the way. This one. See, it's flipped to the red already because the weekly candle closed below it, unfortunately. So at that point, I was like, okay, if we did see that happen, I was going to sell all my positions and go short. And I probably should have, because look where we are right now. I would have been like a genius. First of all, I would have taken a huge loss. And second of all, I'm not fully convinced that the cycle is over. You could tell me, yeah, the indicators on the weekly chart, they don't look good. I will agree with you there. But something about the cycle is just different in general. So I'm going to see how it goes. That could make or break my whole portfolio, but we'll see. And also it's the price, the cost of learning. It's a lot. It's it's a heavy price because, you're using your own money, your own capital here to trade in the markets. And eventually when you lose it all, you're like, okay, well, what did I do wrong here? I'm doing this stuff every day, practically every day, studying, analyzing the markets, making trades based off the analysis the conviction that I have on the markets. What's with the October 10 drop? Like, whose fault is that, really? Did you see that coming? I didn't see it coming. Nobody saw that. Nobody would have predicted we would all lose on any altcoin that you had with any amount of leverage at any price because everything just immediately dropped 70, 80%, impossibly low prices that mathematically make no sense, right? It's only happened on the futures market. It had to do, with exchanges, auto deleveraging, that kind of issue. Sure, fine. Whatever, I'll accept a liquidation, huge liquidation loss, whatever. But now even this drop, while fundamentals are stronger than ever, while we don't have any more risk or fear of that kind of a liquidation event happening ever again. Why? What's going on, right? What, you're not going to get your little rate cut? You're scared you might not get your little rate cut in December? Is that the real reason? It's not convincing me enough, right? So I'm willing to stay into it until I die, till the end, right? But hey, if I'm right, it'll pay off huge. But it might take it's not going to be easy, of course. None of this is going to be easy, and that's just part of the game. If it was easy, everybody would just be rich. But no, anyway, like I said, I'm gonna have to reevaluate maybe how I'm doing it. Because, yeah, with the DCAing and that kind of stuff, it's cute and all, buying whenever RSI is oversold until you eventually run out of money. What do you even do? You get liquidated if things continue dropping. I don't like the idea of that. So maybe I'll just switch over to spot markets, for example, for that issue. Only on the coins I truly trust, because you could still DCA on spot and still, go down with a coin that will never recover. And a lot of those, we're seeing that with the altcoins, right? People expect an alt season. I will agree with there are some analysts that say we're probably not going to get an alt season. We're going to have like only some altcoins that will outperform, a bigger asset like Bitcoin because of how, genuinely good and strong they are, how much the institutions are trusting those ETFs, that kind of stuff. And, that I could agree with. And some of those are on this list, by the way, not to flex or anything, but no, I do have to update the list still. Might get rid of Aptos, might get rid of Sui. At this point, I'm not liking what I'm seeing with it, but I don't know. I really want to love Sui, but you can't marry your bags. So, yeah, Sui had a good run. We're back to square one. I don't know what to do with it. I still like it though, really. I feel like it is the better Solana, right? But right now, Solana is not even performing that well, so it's like, why have the Solana killer when Solana itself is not doing that well? It's fine. Solana's at 143. It's up 1%. It hasn't dropped as hard as the rest. But I'm sure we can all agree Solana deserves to be 200 plus, right? Genuinely great coin, cheap, fast. That's what we all like. Better than Ethereum. They have their ETFs now. They have it with staking. Everything is going good for Solana. We all love meme coins. We love getting rugged by your favorite rapper. So, it's only a matter of time before things start picking up with it. Hyperliquid, we know the best decks. Aster will never top it. Just give up. But Aster's still fine. Like, it's still good decks. Don't get me wrong. But to say that Aster will be $4, it will beat Hyperliquid, it has more volume than Hyperliquid, no, like that stuff, even DeFi Llama has practically indirectly confirmed that, yeah, no, that volume is kind of fake, maybe coming from the centralized exchange, Binance themselves. I'm not going to get into that whole argument, but, that kind of stuff. BitTensor, with how AI is doing, man, we had Nvidia earnings. Why is this not... We kind of did rise after Nvidia earnings. Fair enough. Okay. And nothing too crazy. Chainlink used for everything. Economic data is getting released. So that should give a use case for Chainlink once again. Tokenize all that economic data, release it on all of the blockchains that interconnect with it. Chainlink, genuinely good product. And then Aptos, I'll admit I was being too, what's better than Solana? Sui. What's better than Sui? Aptos. What's better than Aptos? Sonic. So, what is even happening with Sonic? Sus DT. Why can't I just find the token itself? My blind? Here it is. Okay. This is pathetic. 12 cents. We dropped to a low of 10. October 10, we dropped to a low of 7 cents. Yeah, none of that looks any good. Space industry. What? It has nothing to do with that. What did that just say? Space industry? Are you kidding me? What is this AI, dude? Space industry growth. Sparks, Sonic, USDT. Didn't they say something about NASA last time? Dude, I think this is just... Ah, dude. This AI is so bad. So bad. But anyway. Oh, Aster to $4 easy? Sure, dude. I'll give you maybe $2, but no more than that. We're at 135 though. Hey, if you're still in it, you got it at 80 cents, right? That's pretty good still. I do like this recovery on Aster. It's had its uptrend valid since November, since the beginning of November. Even November 4 crash didn't really affect it too much. Obviously, yeah, it was a lower low, but like it's had a good recovery. Good so far. I like it. If I were me, I would have taken a profit maybe at around 128, 130. That would have just been me though. But if you keep holding, like this is me just talking in, futures type terminology. If I missed obviously this pump to whatever this was, 125, buying at around 80 cents. Yeah, cool. Cool, good stuff, good stuff. How is Aptos doing? Okay, well, we flipped it to a downtrend over here, which invalidates at 320. Good rise so far today, 1.36% up, 294. Please go above $3, and maybe I'll buy again. No, probably not. I don't know. When prices go up, I think that's when I'm gonna buy. Not when prices are low. Why would I buy when prices are low? What are you, crazy? But yeah, good. I like what we're seeing so far. Seems like a decent recovery, but knowing the markets, it's probably not gonna last too long. Like I said, we do have some more volatility coming this week. So yeah, that's the analysis of all these coins that I've got. We're gonna go ahead and get into the news as to why we saw this kind of movement, what to expect next, everything else that's happening in the nice little White House and wherever the Fed meets up. So the FOMC minutes just dropped. They're way more chaotic than markets expected. So here's the signal. The Fed is indeed deeply divided. Some want a 50 basis point rate cut. Others do not want a rate cut at all. So who's going to win, right? They admit they were operating in a data fog because key reports were delayed during the shutdown. Inflation is still uncomfortably high for several members, so they pushed back against easing too fast. Powell doubled down on they are not on a preset path, which signals that the December rate cut is not guaranteed. This is all stuff that we do not want to hear, by the way, which is why we crashed. Futures immediately priced lower odds of a December cut after the release, which is why we had a huge drop since basically 10 a.m. this morning. The odds right now, flashbang warning, maybe too late of a flashbang warning, but I can't force dark page on this one. The tables have turned, so now it's a 66% chance, I'm rounding these numbers, 2/3 of a chance we do not get a rate cut anymore, versus 33% chance that we do get a rate cut. Odds are not in our favor right now. Compared to 1 month ago, this is literally way much more in our favor. We had a 93% chance that we were going to get a rate cut. This was all happening during the shutdown because we were thinking, yes, jobs data is bad. Fed has to cut. Yes or yes. It was good, right? And then, as the government shutdown was coming to a close, we're like, oh, okay, well, we don't know how much the economic data will impact this stuff because we've been going in it blind recently. So, there was no chance of keeping rates 1 month ago. 1 week ago, that's when we were seeing, about a 66% chance of us getting a rate cut versus, the possibility of us keeping rates where they are. 1/3 of a chance, 33% chance of that. And now, 50 basis rate cut is not there at all. And the tables have turned, right? You got the point. When the Fed is confused, markets get shaky. When liquidity expectations get uncertain, traditional assets hesitate. Markets are now pricing in no December rate cut, which means expectations are finally aligning with the Fed's tone. Less guesswork, less drama, and a clearer runway for Bitcoin to do its thing once the dust settles. I do hope so, because we deserve it. The Fed minutes, they also, you got to pay attention to the language that they use. There was no like live streamed meeting, no press conference afterward, none of that stuff. It's all just a closed door meeting, and then they release their statement in by paper, something like this. This is what they basically had to say, underscoring this last sentence, really, or last few sentences, the fact that many, asterisks on many, participants suggest that under their economic outlooks, it would be appropriate to keep the target range unchanged for the rest of the year. Meanwhile, only several assess that a further lowering of the target range for Fed rate cut would be appropriate in December if the economy evolved about as they expected over the coming intermeeting period. So those two words, many participants versus several participants. Many is more than several, and many people want to keep the target range unchanged. Meanwhile, the lesser of the people, several, think that, yeah, it would be appropriate to cut rates in December if things align with what we expect, right? The economy, all that stuff, the economic data that we're about to get. So it's either, I feel like it should be a coin toss rather than, you know, the odds weighing more toward the keeping the target range at where it is. And these are the odds of us getting a rate cut, by the way, around the 90s and things like that. After Powell had his initial speech at when we got our rate cut in October 29, I mentioned what would be more important is what he comments about what's happening next. And he said that there is no guarantee that the next meeting in December will be a guaranteed rate cut. That they only cut rates right now because of risk management. Because the government is shut down, we don't know how much the economy is being impacted by it just yet. So we got to wait for government to reopen so that we know for sure. Markets didn't like the fact that he didn't guarantee the rate cut, so we dropped our odds of getting a rate cut. Then it's been fluctuating just little by little. And then now with this confirmation that, yeah, nothing is confirmed, by the way, and a lot of us think that we should not cut the rates, well, markets dislike that even more. So we were dropping all throughout the day, kind of in expectation leading up to it. And then when we got the thing, it was just like, yeah, boom, confirmed we're dropping because, yeah, that's what the markets were feeling. And we have dropped to a lowest point in the Fear and Greed Index to 9, which is the lowest level since April 11. Extreme fear and sentiment, last seen at the April 2025 bottom. But that being said, the S&P 500 is only down 4% from its record high, and it's up 37% since the April low. It's not what we see before a market crash. Or maybe it is. I would argue it could be, because if you're in extreme fear, you've opened the floor to a free fall on the price, potentially, right? In my opinion. And I think this is only specifically for the S&P 500. The Crypto Fear and Greed Index should be equally as bad or worse. We're still at these same levels, 15. Yesterday we were at negative 16. Okay, so not a big difference. Yeah, obviously today's going to be worse. So, yeah. That's where we are. Trump, of course, made some comments on this whole Fed situation. He says he is talking to various people on who would be the next Fed chair after Jerome Powell leaves in 2026, by the way. He thinks he knows the Fed chair choice, and people are holding him back from firing Powell. Not that you can in the first place, but sure, tough guy. We'll see. What's funny is that people are like, okay, well, who is this rumored new Fed chair that might be announced? Is it going to be Waller? Waller's pretty based. How about Moran? He's also willing to, cut 50 basis points for December. He even said it in one of his speeches, right? Just very recently this week. I think it was this week. So who's it going to be? People actually think it might be Barron Trump, which is funny. The son of Donald Trump. 50% chance on Polymarket, which is crazy. Can you imagine? Obviously, that's going to be conflict of interest. Like, the dad's going to tell the son, hey, son, I want you to cut rates to 1%. Do it now. And the son's going to be like, yes, father. Boom. Everybody gets free money. I mean, that would be great. Or maybe it would be reckless for the economy. But to get Bitcoin to an all-time high, that would be phenomenal. So maybe that is needed. Yes, I'm willing to get rich at the expense of a whole country's economy. I know. No, I'm kidding. I actually don't wish that. I do obviously wish for the United States to improve as an economy, as a country. I think, people should be working towards improving America. So, yeah. Even if it costs my portfolio. Actually, is that really a fair trade? I don't think so. Who cares? That being said, though, what we do know from the Fed, the ending of the tightening cycle. Crypto is the only market still ignoring it, is what it seems like. The new FOMC minutes makes one thing very clear. The policy is shifting, even if the Fed doesn't want to say it directly. And whether people see it or not, this shift leans bullish for Bitcoin and all risk assets going into 2026. A lot of stuff is happening in 2026, I feel like. That also makes me want to think like there's no way we're getting a bear market in 2026. Maybe the 4-year cycle is indeed over because there's just so many differences now. We did not have a euphoria phase, right? Anyways, here's the full picture in simple words. Quantitative tightening ends December 1st. This alone is a major signal. When the balance sheet runoff stops, liquidity stops draining. It doesn't start rising yet, but the bleeding ends. They discussed moving repo funding to the standing repo facility. No idea what that is. It's a direct tool to stop liquidity stress. Okay, cool, thanks. If implemented, it becomes a permanent backstop for the system. Crypto's always reacted strongly to repo support. Good. They want a higher share of T-bills, treasury bills. This increases the Fed's flexibility to supply reserves when needed. Reserves would mean liquidity, and liquidity is good for risk-on flows, money going into these markets. Labor market is cooling. The Fed admitted the shutdown started during the slowdown The slowdown started during the shutdown period. When the labor risk goes up, the Fed stops focusing on inflation and starts focusing on jobs because they have that double mandate, right? Have good jobs and keep inflation under control. They have also basically admitted that tariff inflation is no longer a problem, finally, because I hated that excuse every time. They're like, oh, we're gonna wait and see how inflation plays with the tariffs that are ongoing at the moment. That was always a question that he's been asked during all the previous FOMC meetings throughout this year. It's like, yeah, we're gonna wait and see how inflation gets impacted with the tariffs. But now that the shutdown happened, you better have, given us the rate cut, otherwise, because you got to focus on the labor market. Okay. This removes one of the biggest arguments for holding policy tight. The committee is split, but the direction is clear. Many say a December rate cut is not appropriate, but several said it would be appropriate, right? The thing that I told you guys, paying attention to the language, the many versus the several. Translation, that they know that the cuts are coming. The timing will just depend only on the next few data points. They openly acknowledge that both sides of risk are rising. Upside inflation risk is still there, but downside labor risk is now the bigger threat. The stagflation thing, it's who knows. This combination has historically led to the same outcome every cycle. Quantitative tightening stops, the data weakens, repo support increases, liquidity returns, and the rate cuts follow. This is why this matters for Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin doesn't wait until the official cut happens. It's usually a solo news event anyway, right? It moves when the liquidity direction changes, what we are expecting. Today's minutes show that the Fed is already shifting from fighting inflation to protecting the economy. That shift always unlocks liquidity, sometimes slowly at first, and then all at once. So yes, markets are choppy, but the Fed is also still cautious. But structurally, the setup leans bullish for crypto heading into 2026, not bearish. Let's hope so, pal. Moving on. Epstein. The White House, or not the White House, the House of Representatives have passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act. It's finally happened. I talked about on Monday how Trump made this huge 180, he He was always against Republicans releasing the Epstein files. Don't release the Epstein files. It's a Democrat hoax. Nobody's in the files. It doesn't exist. Epstein killed himself, and here's edited footage about it. Or unedited footage. Air quotes. And then, you have the 4 top Republicans. Lauren Boebert, finally remembered her name. Thomas Massie, Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Big proponents of releasing the files and trying to convince the Republican Party to release them. Trump keeps telling his Republican Party, no, don't release them. You're not allowed to. He has the DOJ just destroy the whole, not destroy the evidence, but basically come out and say, yep, no, it's fake. It's not real. Files don't exist. Go home. And the thing that we gave you guys with the binders at the beginning of the year, that was also fake. There was nothing in there. It was all redacted information, which is true. So then what happens is Trump starts attacking the Republicans that are, pushing to release the files, attacking Thomas Massie, attacking Marjorie Taylor Brown, right? And ultimately, Thomas Massie teams up with a Democrat over here. I think he's a Democrat, Ro Khanna, to force the release of the Epstein files, and gets all the Democrats, of course, on board with releasing the Epstein files because they think that Trump is in it. He does sound guilty because of the suspicious way of hiding or attempting to bury the Epstein files. And then Trump did a 180 on Monday. He's like, you know what? I fully support it. Release the files. It's all Democrats in there anyway. Democrats are the biggest supporters of Jeffrey Epstein. He was best friends with all the Democrats. So they're only shooting themselves in the foot. And they did it. They did the vote yesterday. The vote to release the files passed 427 to 1. That one guy voted no. It was, who was I forgot his name. But it seemed like a normal dude. I don't think he's suspicious or anything. I feel like his reasoning was more like, Trump said it was a hoax, so, I didn't get the memo that he said to release them. That kind of thing. But anyway, yeah. All Republicans, all Democrats, with the exception of that one guy, voted to release the Epstein files. So now it goes to Trump's desk to get signed, and it looks like he finally did it. Here's his, what do you even call this wall of text? Celebration post. Trump says, Jeffrey Epstein, who was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats. By the way, he also died during that administration. But anyway, he was a lifelong Democrat. He donated thousands of dollars to Democrat politicians. He was deeply associated with many well-known Democrat figures such as Bill Clinton, who traveled on his plane 26 times. So did Trump, but I guess we'll leave that out. Larry Summers, who we'll also be talking about. He resigned from many boards, including Harvard. Oh, well, spoiler alert. You know what? I might as well talk about it here, I guess. Here. Larry Summers started a class at Harvard by admitting he is in the Epstein files and that he will finish teaching the class before his resignation. What a weird morning to wake up to. Your professor is Larry Summers at Harvard. And he's like, yeah, but by the way, guys, I'm guilty of being in the Epstein files, which are being released today. So I'm going to be resigning. It was nice knowing y'all. Bye-bye. And he's also part of other stuff, right? He also announced he is resigning from OpenAI's board amid the release of his emails with Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, guilty until proven guilty. So there you go. He's gone. Sleazebag political activist Reid Hoffman, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who asked Epstein to donate to his campaign after Epstein was charged. Okay. Democrat Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, and many more. Perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their associations with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed because I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. There you go. As everyone knows, I asked Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass this bill in the House and Senate respectively, after delaying it for how many months? Because of this request, the votes were almost unanimous in favor of passage. At my direction, the Department of Justice has already turned over close to 50,000 pages of documents to Congress. Who's going to read all that, by the way? Do not forget, the Biden administration did not turn over a single file or page related to Democrat Epstein, nor did they ever speak about him, which is true, I'll give him that. The Democrats have used the Epstein issue, which affects them far more than the Republican Party, in order to try to distract from our amazing victories, which includes the great big beautiful tax cut bill, strong borders, no men, women, sports, or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, lowering prices, the biggest tax and regulation cuts in history, ending 8 wars, rebuilding our military, knocking out Iran's nuclear capability, getting trillions of dollars invested in the USA, creating the hottest country anywhere in the world, and even delivering a huge defeat to the Democrats on the recent shutdown disaster. For years, our great nation has had to endure Russia, 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 Ukraine, 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 impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, and many other Democrat-created witch hunts and scams, all of which have been so terrible and divisive for our country, and have been done to confuse, deflect, and distract from the great job that Republicans and the Trump administration are doing. This latest hoax will backfire on the Democrats, just as all of the rest have. Okay, that last bit of the post was pretty powerful, I'll admit. Thank you for your attention to the matter. Make America great again. Cool. Let's see if that is indeed the case. I don't know. The way Trump has been kind of hiding it these whole past couple months make it seem a little suspicious. Jeffrey Epstein's brother claims that the Epstein files are currently being sanitized to remove the names of high-ranking politicians before the release. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, honestly. What if Trump's just like, okay, release the files, but delete everything with my name in it before you do? Imagine if that was the case. He's like, oh yeah, and make sure you like bold and underline and italic every Democratic person's name that is on it. Yeah. We'll see. So there is that. That's the whole Epstein case. There you go. We'll see what comes out of it. The House also had a hearing on congressional stock trading today. They're saying stuff like, in recent years, social media accounts have generated significant media attention for aggregating the stock trades of members of Congress. Of course, these accounts are the first to report on it. Quiver Quantitative, Unusual Whales, literally being name dropped by Representative Tim Burchett. Unusual Whales has been mentioned by name in the U.S. congressional hearing on getting U.S. Congress banned from stock trading. This guy said, get on that Unusual Whales site. This is pathetic, folks. We all know what is going on with the stock trading. Which is true. Did anything come out of it? I don't think so, but there are some U.S. senators calling for a federal investigation into World Liberty Financial. Oh, that's not good. I mean, we all saw what happened on October 10th. That was pretty suspicious. World Liberty Finance is not dropping on the news. Rather, we are rising. Barely. We're in an uptrend. This is when the dividends were announced. Where's October 10? This is what's suspicious about it. Trump says he doesn't like what China is doing. Nothing got liquidated except World Liberty Financial and Trump meme coin. And then a couple hours later, right, this is 8 a.m. candle, okay? 12 o'clock candle, recovery, fine, it's all good. And then 4 o'clock candle, right when Trump says, I'm done with China, we're putting 100% tariffs if they don't get this rare earth mineral deals, issue resolved by November 1st. 100% tariffs on China. Everything collapses a second time. And that's when all the altcoins crash on this candle, 4 o'clock p.m. Why did World Liberty Financial was the first one to drop? Who knew that Trump was about to put tariffs on China like that? And that was going to be, they got out of it on time, so to speak, whoever the insiders were. I mean, crypto in general started rough that day, but World Liberty Finance, anything related to Trump meme coin, that kind of stuff, it just was the first one to leave. It's like, I don't know, one of his sons probably knew, like, is like, Dad, what are you going to do about this China stuff? Oh, I'm going to put 100% tariffs on them. And then one of his sons, I don't know, Baron Trump, says, oh, that's not good. Yeah, I'm going to close all my positions before we have the biggest liquidation event in crypto history, even bigger than pandemic and FTX combined. So somebody new. Insider trading. I think it's either that or they're just, looking into the fundamentals of it. In my opinion, it's fine. Fundamentals of World Liberty Finance. But for now, I'm still like staying out of it completely. I think I took advantage of this rise because I have bought into it after this October 10 crash. Funny enough, I actually didn't get liquidated on this candle. I got liquidated on this one because I've been buying since like sub 20 cents, right? And we dropped to a low of whatever this was, 11 cents. So that was a 50% drop. I usually do 3x leverage, do the math. So on this one, for whatever reason, I think I had a lower price and it got that one filled. I had a decent price for a while. I think around 14 maybe. And then, this rise, I was like, yeah, I'm out. There's my history with World Liberty Finance. So there's that. And then you got politicians taking advantage of things like pudgy penguins. They're back, the pudgy penguins. I hope their price is rising at least. Come on, Pengu. Nope, no change. Great. Matter of fact, we are lower than ever, ignoring October 10. Fascinating. So this congressman, William Timmons, says 10,000 likes and I'll make this my profile picture. It's pretty cool, I'll admit it. And even the pudgy penguins themselves, the official account said, "Do you promise?" He's like, "Yes." And he kept his promise. He got 20,000 likes out of the 10,000 that he requested. So there you go. He changed his profile picture. Confirmed. Nice. Even Bitwise, a lot of the accounts are using pudgy penguin profile pictures again. It's happening. Why am I not following Bitwise? Big news on another note. Bitwise XRP ETF set to begin trading on the New York Stock Exchange tomorrow. More XRP ETFs. Hooray. Are we rising with XRP? No. Why would you rise? We'll just drop 4% because we got another ETF. That's awesome. It has a management fee of 0.34%. La la la. We don't care. Here's why XRP is interesting. Oh, really? It's one of the longest running blockchains with 13-year track record and a super vibrant community of supporters. Okay, I'll give you that. It is the world's third largest digital asset with a $125 billion market cap. Doesn't deserve to be there, in my opinion, but yeah. It's going after a massive $250 trillion cross-border payments opportunity. It's, in my opinion, failing that race. But yeah, go on. It can settle payments in 3 to 5 seconds for fractions of a cent. I mean, so can Solana, Sui, Aptos, and Sonic, my favorite. But go on. A growing list of assets are being tokenized on XRP Ledger, including US Treasuries, digital commercial paper, private credit, money market funds. So are they on Ondo and other RWA plays? But yeah, go on. Literally, this, I don't know. Sorry to be mean to XRP, but no, I'm gonna stay out of it. Mission at Bitwise to provide access to the most exciting themes in crypto. We're thrilled to launch XRP and bring XRPs. Is that actually the ticker, XRP? It literally is the ticker XRP. Okay, that's pretty cool. I'll admit that at least. They're launching an ETF with the ticker XRP. Literally, no other letters added to it under Bitwise. Crazy. You know something funny as well? I talked about it before, but Farsight ETF, they're not listing XRP on this list. They're like, we don't care about XRP. Screw it. Go find that information somewhere else if you want to figure out what the inflows or outflows are for XRP ETFs. But they've been existing by now. I don't remember from specifically which companies, but yeah. Solana ETFs are looking good, by the way, just on a side note. How are Ethereum ETFs? Still outflows basically every day. Very, very little inflows that it's pathetic. It's like nothing is going on. And Bitcoin, I'm assuming some recent inflow. Yeah, so far $14 million inflow today, which is nothing, honestly, compared to what they've been selling off. Seems like over $1 billion for sure in the past week. It's not good. We're still waiting on BlackRock's numbers, which with the rise of today, I don't know, today was a volatile day, and we're still expecting more volatility for the end of this week. So we're gonna wait and see. Once again, yeah, Ondo. They won the approval to bring tokenized stocks and ETFs to 30 European countries. Already just taking down XRP when it comes to tokenized stocks and ETFs, at least. So that's good for Ondo. The SEC has also removed crypto from its 2026 priorities, which is probably a good thing, signaling it's no longer considered as a special risk area, meaning that they don't think Bitcoin is too much of a risk. They're fine with Bitcoin crypto existing. Good. Leave that to the CFTC, the Clarity Act, which should also get passed by the end of this year. Kraken has confidentially filed for an IPO. I don't know about the confidentially part, but what does that even mean? Yeah, Kraken IPO coming soon. Great. Love it. Bitcoin account. Have you guys noticed the Bitcoin Twitter account? How weird it is? They do nothing, by the way. They never post any insight or anything like that has to do with fundamental analysis. None of that stuff. They just post the current price of Bitcoin in a bunch of different currencies. Literally, that's all they do. Let me just Bitcoin at Bitcoin. That's all they do. They just post the price of Bitcoin in American dollars, in euros. Also, what is this? This is the second outlier, by the way, which I'm going to discuss the first one in a second. What are they talking about here? Bitcoin X account. Please tell me more about the weather. Literally, what is this? We're talking about hurricanes. Hurricane season has just 2 weeks remaining for the first time in a decade. There have been 0 hurricanes that made the U.S. landfall, 0 Gulf hurricanes. Is that because we renamed it to the Gulf of America? Okay. We clearly have a liberal running the account or something, but yeah. It's pretty funny. What's weird is that yesterday they posted this. In dollars, the price of Bitcoin, $46,000.47. Okay, what? First of all, that is not the price of Bitcoin. We're more than double that, or practically double that. 92,000, right? Yesterday, sure, we were at about the same, right? Why did they post that? But imagine if Bitcoin was at 46,000, what do you do in that situation? First of all, I'd be liquidated, so I wouldn't have any money to buy, and I would just sit down and cry. I can't take out any loans. I can't do anything. I'm maxed out on all my debt, all my credit stuff, so whatever. Still gotta find a job. Litecoin responded to that. This is a real post, by the way. They deleted it afterwards, after people were like, what are you doing, Bitcoin account, Bitcoin Twitter account? What is this? Litecoin said, are you talking about me again? Imagine Litecoin at 46,000 in your dreams, pal. I mean, it could happen because it's same fundamentals as Bitcoin. It was just meant to be, you know, a little cheaper. But other than that, it has no real use case. We're at 93 right now for a Litecoin. And it's not too bad, actually. Could have been a good opportunity to take advantage at 88. Maybe. Hard, maybe. Guaranteed good entry around over here, of course. Below 85, 81. If you were lucky enough to get that. Because we had a good rise over here. November 9 to 113. But yeah. No, I'm staying out of Litecoin still. But it's you know, it's guaranteed to stick around for a while longer if you care about Litecoin. Another thing that happened, not today, this was yesterday, was the meeting between the Saudi prince coming to visit the White House. I guess this is the only real highlight other than just them glazing each other constantly, is the fact that they give a bit like when Biden was president and met up with him, all they gave each other was a fist bump, and Trump criticized that. He's like, we don't do fist bumps over here. I'm gonna shake your hand. I grab that hand. I don't care where that hand's been. I grab that hand. Okay, pal. But yeah, that's pretty funny. Moving on. They also had the dinner later on where Elon Musk was also rumored to have been invited, and here it is, confirmed. Elon Musk was present with all the people there. Jensen Huang, JD Vance, Cristiano Ronaldo was there too, and Trump even gave him a tour of the White House. I don't have the footage with me, but yeah, if you care about Cristiano Ronaldo, he was there. But what seems to be good is that Elon Musk and Trump may or may not finally be buddies again, which goes to, you know, prove the whole crash up between the two a couple of months ago, where even Elon Musk said this is actually what sparked the whole Epstein files release thing. You guys aren't giving too much credit to Elon Musk here. When he started that quote unquote fight, I don't believe it's a real fight, but it was a huge issue on crypto Twitter, or just Twitter in general, right? Everybody saw it. It was there for the world to see. Elon Musk said, "Oh, Trump is not releasing the Epstein files because he is named in them. There's the nuclear bombshell. You know? And if I'm wrong, prove me wrong, right? Release the files, or otherwise we know if they ever do get released. But that's why he hasn't released them yet." And then that's what sparked this whole debate, like, oh my gosh, Elon Musk said what? So yeah. Oh, Blowing Chunks, he said Litecoin at 40,000. No. Yeah, I know. Probably not going to happen for a long time. Maybe Aster, not Litecoin? Okay, I disagree with you further, but yeah. Okay, so apart from that, Elon Musk also met up with Jensen Huang, which is the CEO of Nvidia, and this will segue perfectly into our Nvidia topic soon. He's announced that XAI and Saudi Arabia are working on a 500 megawatt project with Nvidia. Jensen Huang says that Nvidia is working with Saudi Arabia to build supercomputers. It's pretty cool. And for whatever reason, suspiciously as well, Trump has been praising Nvidia before the earnings came out. Today in the morning, by the way, markets were a little like shaky because we were expecting the FOMC minutes. We were expecting the talks on Congressional stock trading ban. We were getting more information about Epstein, and we're also getting, Nvidia earnings. Like, oh, that's coming out at the end of the stock trading day, market hours, right? After hours. So markets were a bit shaky. We're like, well, what's going to happen until then? We're going to have to wait and see what Nvidia does. And then Trump is just, for whatever reason, talking so much about Nvidia on this day. It's like, okay, maybe they're trying to, push the price a little higher so that if Nvidia earnings are probably bad, the AI bubble and all this fear, if it does crash, it won't be that bad, right? That's probably why Trump was talking about it a lot recently here. He posted 3 quotes of Nvidia's founder, Jensen Huang. He says, as promised, okay, well, I'll just read these from here. Jensen Huang says, as I promised, production of Blackwell has started. AI invented in America, made in America, built for America and the world. Good. He also says, quoting Jensen Huang, after less than a year, we're now manufacturing the most advanced chips for AI here in the US. All of this started with President Trump wanting to reindustrialize the US. His tariffs were a pressing agent in making this possible. Of course, Trump would want to repost that. And also the last quote is, we were manufacturing in America because of President Trump. Yeah, okay, once again. And the Nvidia reports earnings in less than 6 hours. Yeah. Suspicious, but cool. Just another side note, Nvidia, Microsoft, and Anthropic announced new strategic partnerships, which would include Anthropic buying $30 billion of Azure compute capacity from Microsoft. Nvidia will be investing $10 billion in Anthropic. Microsoft will invest $5 billion in Anthropic. Nvidia and Anthropic will collaborate on design and engineering. Nvidia and Anthropic will establish deep technology partnership. Another multi-billion-dollar AI deal has arrived. It doesn't stop. Which, in my opinion, AI will never die. Bubble doesn't exist. Please rise forever. Maybe that's naive of me to think. But anyways, the time came, Nvidia earnings came out, and it was great. It was perfect. Stock rose 5% after announcing record quarterly revenue of $57 billion. And it rose so much that it's about $205 billion of market cap on this move alone. This is after hours, by the way, so come on now. Are we does 24/7 trading, is that really a concept anymore? Like, it clearly exists. We're doing this after hours. Here's more updates on it. Well, these are the first couple of things. There's a bunch of numbers. I don't know if you guys care. The revenue beat estimates, 57 billion versus the 54 billion estimate. Huge beat. The gross margin, 73.4%, extremely strong, reflecting premium Blackwell Hopper mix and tight supply. Profitability, earnings per share, $1.30. Adjusted earnings per share was $1.30 versus 124 estimate. The net income, 31 billion, one of the largest quarterly profits ever reported by a US company. Almost $5 trillion company, by the way. We already did hit 5 trillion on market cap for Nvidia. And the outlook for this final quarter, $65 billion revenue, which signals accelerating demand into the year end as the AI infrastructure build out continues, which means that there's no such thing as an AI bubble. It's not going to pop. It's not overvalued. There's still demand for it, right? For comparison, what we just got in our revenue was 57 billion, and we're expecting now 65 billion for the rest of this year. It should be a good thing, right? The context, Nvidia's blowout quarter shows no cooling in the AI capex cycle. With record margins, record profits, Q4 guidance pointing even higher, Nvidia continues to dominate the global compute build-out, and the pace is still accelerating. Here's more on that. I don't think it's that relevant, though. Nvidia's guidance reaffirms unmatched demand for its AI platforms with huge remaining buyback capacity and near 75% margins. The company continues balancing hypergrowth with shareholder returns. It's good. And sucks for this guy, Peter Thiel, and Michael Burry, by the way, who were shorting, selling, Nvidia and tech stocks, claiming that there's an AI bubble. Oh no. Peter Thiel's hedge fund sold off its entire Nvidia position in the third quarter just before the company released its earnings report. We covered this news, by the way. The move has beget concern over a soon-to-pop AI bubble among investors. Can we please get rid of the AI bubble narrative? Thank you. Nvidia had a beat. We bounced the rest of the week in crypto. Do we trade the bounce? No. No, we don't. Because we're still expecting more stuff. We're getting economic data, which at this point, it's really, really sensitive. The fact that I showed you the probabilities already, it's not in our favor at this point. And if we get economic data that is, if it's good for the economy, it's bad for the markets, right? Because we're not getting our rate cut. And right now we're really sensitive to that topic. I mean, you could trade the volatility if you want, if you're doing normal trading with a stop loss and a take profit, right? You could trade that volatility, it could work out in your favor, depending on what you do. It's all guesswork at this point, whether or not you think we're going to get good or bad economic data that will help with the rate cut probabilities. But honestly, at this time, because we're so sensitive to the topic, it could just huge bad candle, something that will make us think okay, it's confirmed no rate cut in December. Sure, we've kind of already priced it in, but look how much we've priced it in. We're making new lows just based off of that information alone, right? The fact that we were not going to get our rate cut in December. What helped us with the bounce back right here, right now, was purely Nvidia. Nvidia earnings just saved our butts over here and pushed the price back from 88,500 up to where we are right now, 92,300, 400, right? So, rest of this week, pretty volatile. I'm just going to stick with where I am at right now. I'm going to hold on to what I can. Like I said, I might sell off at a loss my Solana positions just so I could cover for anything, because Solana's got a decent bounce so far. 143. Okay, I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Now I really want to sell my Solana. Not this specific position, but this other one's. Don't get me wrong, I'm losing a lot on it still. But yeah. Me personally, I'm not gonna touch anything, so trading this bounce, I'm not touching it at all. Non-farm payroll data for September is what's coming out, unemployment rate. Right? Existing home sales, I don't think we care. And then Friday, something else was happening Friday. I don't remember. But I covered it in a previous stream. Yeah. I mean, at least tomorrow, we should expect some heavy volatility from this. So be careful. Just be really careful. That's all. Yeah. So let me know what you guys think. What else? What else do I talk about? I think that's all, really. Everything's kind of recovering thanks to Nvidia, right? Seems like Asian markets are helping us out a little bit too. I can't help but notice in the mornings at like 10 a.m. is when things just seem to continuously drop for the past couple of weeks on Bitcoin specifically. I just clicked on something on Bitcoin specifically, which has been weird, but you know, can I prove myself? 10 a.m. Yeah, 10 a.m. today, huge red candle of 1.93%. November 18, 10 a.m. Okay, we had a big green candle. It seems to be that's like the most volatile hour for whatever reason. Yeah, okay, yesterday we did have a good rise because we had some decent economic data that played in our favor. I think yesterday. Come on. Fine, show me this week, this whole week, Tuesday. It was the jobless claims. We had more jobless claims than expected, which means that the job markets are probably not doing good. And that actually increased our rate cut probabilities just by a little bit. And that's what markets were celebrating yesterday. Rise. Recovering is a bold word. Only need a 90% crypto rally to see my portfolio back up to all-time highs. I know, man. Yeah, it sucks. Like when you drop a lot, you do need more of a higher percentage to recover from the drop, right? I've shown the math before, but it gets pretty brutal. Because if your portfolio drops, let's say 50%, how much percent do you need for it to rise back up? And there's a counter argument to this, right? You need 100%. You need the portfolio to do 100% to rise back up to basically break even if you've dropped 50%. There's that. But then my counter argument to it is, okay, but it's the same amount of money going in and going out, so percentages are kind of meaningless in that sense, right? Because, I mean, if Bitcoin's market cap was, weird example, $3 trillion, and we dropped to $2 trillion, we lost 30%, right? 33%. Does that mean we need a 66% rise? I think. Oh my gosh, my math. Yeah, it's about like a 50% rise. We need a 50% rise, right? If we lose 30%, you need a 50% rise to get back to 3 trillion market cap. Or you could look at it as numbers, right? If you lose 1 trillion from the 3 trillion, that's now 2 trillion. You add that 1 trillion back, you're back at 3 trillion. Who cares about the percentages? Like, the money is coming in and out. That's kind of my way of, the counter argument to it. Weird things with numbers, but yeah. 17, 10 a.m. Weird. Let me go to like last week. November 14, sure. 10 a.m. Never mind. I don't know. Something I've kind of been noticing. Yeah, 10 a.m. big red candle here, for example, on November 13. 10 a.m. another big red candle here on November 12. That's the kind of pattern I've been noticing. 10 a.m. just seems to bring huge volatility, and it happened to be to the downside for the past couple of days, except for yesterday, Tuesday. Weird. But we'll see. I'm liking so far this little excuse of a bounce, if that's what we want to call it. Yeah, but I'm gonna have to do something with the Solana. It's on the rise, so I should take advantage of it. Not lose as much, and allocate more of that towards maybe Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the only one I really want to save. If I get liquidated on all the altcoins, it's like, who really cares? I do mainly care about Bitcoin. Because I know Bitcoin can't drop much further than all this is. Everybody trusts Bitcoin, right? Except Peter Schiff. Everybody loves and trusts Bitcoin, and everybody has Bitcoin in their portfolio. They're not going to all at the same time dump it, right? Sure, it may have its ups and downs, but that's just the volatility that crypto in general brings. But when it comes to altcoins, like, people would rather get rid of that and go into Bitcoin. Although the only difference is that we have seen Bitcoin dominance dropping along with the price, and that is just a new phenomenon, right? It kind of been back on the rise, but it went to show that people would rather, they're done selling off with their altcoins. They'd rather hold on to it, and they're just watching Bitcoin's price do its own thing, which could mean manipulation, or it could mean, just strong conviction in the rest of the crypto market, people, or maybe that's just generally the bottom for altcoins. Like the rest of it is like all holders. There's no more sellers, so to speak, right? They all left after, we've seen altcoins hit 2 times or 3 times higher than whatever they're currently worth. That kind of stuff, right? I mean, some of them, not XRP. Forget XRP. Yeah. Yeah, weird stuff is going on. But I'm not fully convinced that it is over. So, putting my money where my mouth is still. Always have done that. And, might lose it all. Maybe not. We'll find out on the next episode of whatever I'll call my show in the future. I'm so unprepared with this stuff. I gotta find out a name for my show. I gotta find, maybe getting webcam. Gotta find a way to increase the view counts. Maybe multi-streaming. Maybe TikTok. I don't know. I heard exposition is good there. Clips out. I don't even know what clips I would put out. Maybe I gotta be more funny. I don't even know. Make more jokes. Yeah, well, it's all stuff I gotta plan out. I mean, my own personal job market is uncertain at this point because I can't find a job. Get it? All right, cool. Yeah, but looks fine for now. Green candles is good. We'll see what brings tomorrow. This volatility, the non-farm payroll data that we have been getting delayed on this data. This is from September. And by the way, it's confirmed we're not getting October. Jobs data, I'm pretty sure. At least that's what Carolyn Leavitt said. But yeah. So, should be volatile day tomorrow. We'll see. So yeah, we'll be covering that and anything else that pops up in the news. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Subscribe. Thanks to the rest of you guys for watching, for subscribing, for staying tuned, for doing all that stuff, for liking the video and all that. Sharing would also be cool. I will see you